Tell you what, guys, every single week, Raw, well, okay, not every single week, but Raw always tends to disappoint. If you watched the Raw review this week, you know that that was exactly the case for me. But I can always look forward to Tuesdays because SmackDown knows what it's doing, and then you got 205 Live. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tuesday Night Live. We're talking about SmackDown Live, we're talking about 205 Live. That's what we do here. I'm Travis Colt by myself. Kevin Hawk's got a holiday schedule that he can't get out of, so it's just me this week. So thanks for tuning in. Yeah, let's talk about what happened on SmackDown. We had a lot of really good story build on both SmackDown and 205 Live. One thing that didn't really necessarily mean anything, we had, it was finally a celebrity guest that makes sense. Ryan Phillippe was on SmackDown because Randy Orton is on the show Shooter that comes out, or that comes on after both Raw and SmackDown. So he was there trying to find Randy, and he runs into Mojo, and unfortunately he's friends with Mojo. Mojo says, you don't want to look for Randy Orton, but hey, we can hang out, and then Kurt Hawkins starts talking trash. So we ended up getting a match between Mojo Rawley and Kurt Hawkins, which was just, let's put over Mojo, because unfortunately we found out that after the tag team title, or the tag team #1 contender match last week, Zack Ryder suffered a, what was it? Let me double check. It's really unfortunate that he had to deal with this. It's oh boy, I don't know why I can't find it. There we go. Ruptured patella tendon. He had surgery, and now he's on the road to recovery. So unfortunately, for him and for Mojo, I guess, the Hype Bros won't be getting their tag team title shot. So next week on SmackDown, as opposed to the Hype Bros getting their tag team title match, the Wyatts will have to defend their championships against American Alpha, the Usos, and Heath Slater and Rhino in a it might be elimination, might be one fall to a finish, don't know for sure, but we've got a lot of stuff set up for next week. So that's what's happening in the tag team situation. Let's talk about what happened with the ladies. Our first segment, we actually had Natty come out and say that she wanted to talk to Nikki. She wanted, that face-to-face conversation. Nikki comes out, and before they can really say anything, Carmella comes out too, and Natty's like, "What are you doing out here? You have no reason to be out here." And she's like, "Oh, I just want to make sure that you're going to tell the story right." And so she keeps like plugging these little things in, and she hits this moment where she says something like, the Bellas don't really deserve anything that they've gotten, and then Nikki's like, "Wait, did you actually say that?" And then Natty ends up just beating the hell out of Carmella, throws her into the whole Christmas setup they have up on the stage, and then she grabs the microphone, looks over at Nikki, who's still in the ring, and says, "Alright, fine. I did do it, you bitch." And just completely admits to attacking her at Survivor Series. Talks about how all these things that Nikki's gotten should have been hers, whether it's walking red carpets, the Total Divas spin-off, just all these different things. She deserves it more because she's wrestling royalty. And so yeah, she is targeting Nikki Bella because Nikki Bella is stealing all of these opportunities from her, and she is not letting it go this time. She was ripping into the crowd. Natty is playing such a wonderful heel, and this was a really good next step in what she can use as ammo to really amp herself up. So I'm sure we'll be getting that somewhere down the line. Yeah, they obviously all want a shot at the Women's Championship, so we'll see if maybe that ends up being the next thing. We get a triple threat to see who's the next #1 contender. And speaking of the Women's Championship, last week, if you remember, Alexa Bliss attacked Deonna Purrazzo and didn't give her the opportunity to wrestle against her and ended up facing Becky Lynch. Well, she came to Daniel Bryan. She was still still nursing the leg, trying to play off the injury. And Daniel's like, I talked to the trainers and your leg is fine. There's nothing wrong with you and you are clear to compete. So you're going to face someone tonight, and you're also going to be giving Becky Lynch her rematch next week on SmackDown. Now, if you don't face this person like you did last week, you decided to just beat the person up, you'll be stripped of the championship, and then you won't have a title to defend. So Alexa Bliss is forced to face Miss Mascaras, who is a luchadora. She's got all blue jumpsuit thing, red shorts, a purple mask. She's got a cape. She's got all kinds of stuff. And she's supposed to be the granddaughter, potentially, of Mil Mascaras. It was pretty early on. You could tell who it was if you didn't already know. But it was a funny segment. It was a good, quick little match. Miss Mascaras ends up grabbing Alexa's arm, rolling off the top rope into a disarmor, making Alexa Bliss tap out. And then, as if it wasn't obvious enough, she unveiled herself to be, indeed, Becky Lynch. I knew it was Becky Lynch when she started yelling "Olay," and the Irish accent is so hard to disguise, but it was still a funny attempt. And so now that's a little bit of a mind game towards Alexa, because now she's just lost to Becky Lynch. And now she knows that she indeed has to defend the championship against Becky Lynch next week. So really gets into her mind. It's a fun little situation they've got going on here. And then one more thing before we get to our main story, I believe. Let me just double check here. Yeah. All right, so one more thing. After his win against The Miz last week on Tribute to the Troops, Apollo Crews got himself an Intercontinental title match. And this is good. It's so good to see Apollo Crews doing something. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's lasting long, but maybe it is. I don't know. This is okay. So him and Miz, great match. It's good. It's just great to see Apollo Crews back on TV, showing everyone what he's capable of, and just having a great match. We had a moment where Maurice went to rake his eyes or something. The ref caught it and ejected her from ringside. And then there's a moment where Apollo Crews tries to go for what I assume would be like the cruise control or the cruise missile or whatever you want to call it. But Miz back rolls out of it, ends up clipping the referee in the face, and the referee turns around, giving just enough time for Miz to poke Apollo Crews in the eyes, flip him around, and hit the skull-crushing finale, and unfortunately ruining the chances of Apollo Crews being the Intercontinental Champion. And then we had Renee Young come out and do an interview and say, what can we, after the way things went last week in the #1 Contenders match, what's this obsession you have with Dean Ambrose? Because if you remember, Miz was very focused on Dean Ambrose, and then even came out again towards the end and kind of screwed Dean Ambrose out of the match, which is why Dolph Ziggler's getting the shot. And Miz turns it around and goes, well, why don't we talk about your obsession with Dean Ambrose? Because you are the one who's sleeping with him. And the whole crowd just goes, oh shit! And then she straight up just slaps the taste out of Miz's mouth. So it is now out in the open. I mean, it wasn't really a secret. They even talked about it on Talking Smack, but it is out in the open now. It is on TV that Renee Young and Dean Ambrose are together. So now this plays into a match we have later on where Dean Ambrose faces Luke Harper. So he's already at a disadvantage here. He's got both Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt outside while he's dealing with Luke Harper. Obviously, fantastic match because both of these guys are amazing wrestlers. Some good back and forth stuff. Some good. Man, Luke Harper was just trying to destroy Dean Ambrose. He did the slingshot. Dean Ambrose hit like right under his chin with the rope. There was like a high and tight power bomb. There was just all kinds of stuff. It was just a really bad situation for Dean Ambrose. But he ends up pulling it out, even though Harper gets out of the dirty deeds. He ends up turning around, locks in a Magistral Cradle, pins Luke Harper, and picks up the win. But then, unfortunately, gets a triple beatdown from all three members of the Wyatt family. He ends up getting dropped with the Sister Abigail set up into the RKO. Wyatt family ends up, lights go out, Wyatt family disappears, lights come back on, and then Miz makes his way down and decides to just finish it off by hitting a skull-crushing finale on Dean Ambrose. So now I'm worried that Apollo Crews has gotten screwed now, and he's kind of out of the picture, which is unfortunate because I feel like him versus Miz would be really great. But I think they might be kind of sidetracking and going with more of a Miz and Dean Ambrose. I'd like to see Apollo Crews stay involved in the storyline somehow. I just don't know if they're going to be able to work all three of them together. But, SmackDown has been very good at getting all of their guys to, have moments. And I can't imagine that a screw job like that is going to go unnoticed by Shane or Daniel Bryan. So there's a good chance that Apollo Crews could get another shot. And then obviously the attack on Dean Ambrose is going to lead to more things later on. And I do believe that leads us to our main storyline, overarching storyline, that started with a WWE Championship match. We finally got AJ Styles versus James Ellsworth. Boy, I think the entrances and then the wait for the match to start actually took longer than the match itself, because plain and simple, AJ just beats James Ellsworth. He doesn't use the phenomenal forearm, he doesn't use the Styles Clash, he doesn't use the calf crusher. He uses his little back fist kick and punch combo and just knocks the shit out of James Ellsworth. Pins him, retains the championship. He's about to walk away and decides, no, I'm not done. And then proceeds to, very much in the same vein that we saw Luke Harper do later on against Dean Ambrose, completely dismantles James Ellsworth. He does the slingshot underneath the ring where there's the steel bars around the ring. He's suplexing him into the guardrail. He does this, I assume it was supposed to be a sidewalk slam on the table and completely misses the table. He just bounces off the corner of it. James Ellsworth is fucking ruined. It gets taken away in a stretcher. And then we get AJ just talking about how, 2016 is almost over. He gets to go into 2017. He doesn't have to worry about a damn thing. Ziggler comes out and says, oh, but remember, you're facing me next week and you're defending your championship. And AJ's like, yeah, but that's going to be pretty easy because all you do is lose. That's what you're good at. And so then we get a really good back and forth promo from Ziggler and Styles, really building up hype for the match. Then introduce Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin comes out and pretty much said, Styles just straight up leaves. He has no reason to be there anymore. And Corbin tells Ziggler that Ziggler goes on this thing saying that, opportunities aren't given, they're earned. And Baron Corbin kind of drops this bomb. He's like, hey, last week I was at an award show. I was out there, I was out there, hanging out with big celebrities, and the reason you earned your opportunity is because I wasn't here. So Baron Corbin's pretty much like, hey, if I was here, you wouldn't be in this spot. This turns into a little scuffle that ends up, well, not really a little scuffle, because it ends with the end of days on Dolph Ziggler. Ziggler ends up going back and he finds Daniel Bryan and says, no, I don't care. I don't care about next week. I don't care about anything. I want a match against Baron Corbin tonight. And Daniel Bryan's like, okay, that's fine, but if you lose, I'm going to have to give Baron Corbin your title shot. And Ziggler, you know, being prideful, just doesn't really care. She's like, fine, that's what we'll do. So that ends up being our main event. And we had one other little moment here where James Ellsworth is, he's coming out of the trainer's room. He's got a neck brace on. He's got ice wrapped around his shoulders. He's all like bandaged up. Just all kinds of just... Dasha is trying to do an interview with him, and he just keeps talking in pain, grunts, and like that's the way he's answering these questions. The weird part is that Carmella ends up walking up and going, "Oh my God, are you okay, James? Like, what's wrong with you?" She's babying him, and she's like, "Oh, I can't believe, you know, I can't believe you're asking him these questions right now, Dasha. What's wrong with you?" All this stuff, and she's like, "I'll take care of you, James," and like leads James away. First off, she's dating Big Cass, so obviously, you know, they're professionals. So I'm sure it's okay between them, but it's a little weird. It's also weird that she's going with James Ellsworth. And in my head, I'm feeling that we're gonna get, because next week not only do we get all these championship matches, but we also get the return of John Cena. So now John Cena has been name dropped in this. Oh, I forgot to mention that part. I'll wrap that up here with, since we're still talking about Carmella. Natty like dropped the bomb on Nikki, saying that, oh, you know, you're so. She's like, you're so self-centered, everything needs to be about you, and that's why John won't marry you. So, kind of really feeding the fire that John Cena doesn't want to get married again, especially to Nikki Bella. So now I'm wondering if we're going to get Carmella backing James Ellsworth because he's beaten AJ Styles more than John Cena has, or I think John Cena's getting dropped right into the middle of this drama pool, and now that James Ellsworth is out of the title picture, I don't know where this is going, and I can only imagine what the future holds for both James Ellsworth and John Cena, and if they are in fact going to be in the same storyline. So weird. Anyway, let's move on to our main event, which is Dolph Ziggler versus Baron Corbin. We have AJ Styles at ringside on commentary, and for most of the match, he is very set on wanting Dolph Ziggler to win. He seems to be completely terrified of Baron Corbin. Corbin and Ziggler have a great match. We've seen them have matches before. You know, this was the whole thing like after Baron Corbin debuted. Luckily, it's been a while since we've seen this match, so it isn't as aggravating to see these two go against each other. And they have a great match. It's fun to watch. We end up getting a little bit of a brawl on the outside where Baron Corbin actually tosses Dolph Ziggler into AJ Styles at ringside, and then Ziggler ends up kind of coming back, hits a super kick on Baron Corbin on the outside, and both of them end up getting counted out. Now, since this was technically a number one contenders match, question is, does Ziggler just get his shot, or, you know, what's going on? AJ decides to grab a chair and wallop both of them multiple times with the chair, just completely destroying both of them at ringside. Daniel Bryan makes his way out and says, whoa, 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 okay, we need to calm down. You know, AJ, you think that you're, you know, you want competition. Ziggler, you know, you want to earn a shot. Baron Corbin, you think you deserve more. Well, fine. Then next week, we're going to have a triple threat match where AJ Styles is defending the championship against Dolph Ziggler and Baron Corbin. So we have a stacked episode of SmackDown next week. It's called the Wild Card Final, since it's the last SmackDown of 2016. So we got AJ Styles defending the championship against both Dolph Ziggler and Baron Corbin. We have the return of John Cena. We have Alexa Bliss defending the championship against Becky Lynch. And we have the Wyatts defending their tag team titles against American Alpha, the Usos, and Heath Slater and Rhino. Lots of stuff is happening next week. This is why I like SmackDown. Thank you guys. You always make it a little bit better on Tuesday nights. But let's make it even better. Let's talk about the good stuff that does happen from Raw. Let's talk about 205 Live. Because we had a damn good episode of 205 Live today. Obviously, it's only been on for a couple weeks, but I would say this was a pretty solid episode all the way through. We started off with Arya Daivari taking on Lince Dorado. This is a rematch from a couple weeks ago when their match got interrupted by Jack Gallagher. Arya Daivari picking up a win over Lince Dorado. Very abrupt end, and I didn't expect it. I guess it's because Arya Daivari's only really won one other match, and so I wasn't really sure what to expect to be his finisher. But he ends up hitting a pretty solid frog splash and beats Lince Dorado. And then afterwards, I love that this is the thing, just because Jack Gallagher is like so set on being an extraordinary gentleman, but as just to add add heat or something, we have Arya Daivari go, everyone, Jack Gallagher comes out here and says that he's an extraordinary gentleman. Well, it's time that you know the truth. Jack Gallagher is a scoundrel, and the crowd actually goes, ooh. And Austin Aries had some fun with that at commentary, and it's just, I don't know, it's a fun, I don't know what to think about it. It's kind of stupid, but it's kind of funny, and it makes sense because it is Jack Gallagher, but it didn't really make Arya Daivari sound very intimidating. But yeah, it's Arya Daivari is picking up wins. Lince Dorado looked awesome, even though he almost fucking killed himself on a dive to the outside. He almost spiked himself. Scary as shit. But yeah, no, it was a good match. This is what I appreciate, is that it was more moving forward in the Arya Daivari versus Jack Gallagher storyline without having a match between Arya and Jack. That's the most important part, is that we can continue storylines without having both people involved every single time. We had Neville make it perfectly clear to Brian Kendrick that they are not friends in their tag team match tonight, as they take on Rich Swann and TJ Perkins. He appreciates what Brian has done for the Cruiserweights. He realizes that they are the ones that started this. I guess they started this situation. I'm not really sure how that plays into it, but I'll let it slide. They've both been around for a while, so that makes sense. But yeah, it is purely about being partners and destroying Rich Swann and TJ Perkins. That is Neville's goal. We then had Cedric Alexander versus Drew Gulak. Cedric Alexander coming out with Alicia Fox, of course. And good God, Cedric Alexander and Drew Gulak fucking killing it. This match was fan-fucking-tastic. They had, Cedric doesn't really get to show his technical prowess very often, and he got to use that just because that is Drew Gulak's wheelhouse. So he was able to really show a different side, but then once getting the advantage, was still able to do his high-flying stuff and use that to maybe add a little bit more of an advantage for himself, because Drew Gulak doesn't do that. And yeah, it was just, there was some really, really solid shots, some good clotheslines, but the big one is what it kind of went into the end here is, I can't even remember who actually, I think it was Cedric was doing it. It was doing a suplex to Drew Gulak. It was a suplex to the outside where they actually went up. Yeah, because Gulak ended up landing on his feet on the outside. They went completely over the top rope, didn't touch the apron, and with him up on his shoulder still, Gulak hit feet first on the floor, and then both of them just kind of spread apart at that point. It was so scary. I yelled Jesus Christ very loud and flailed my arms a lot. T-Rex arms is what Kevin Hawk will call it. It was a scary moment. It was exciting. And then it set up this really great end where you have both Cedric and Drew kind of getting back up. Alicia Fox has been like trying to get Cedric back into this match the whole time. And then Gulak makes a move where he shoves Cedric Alexander into Alicia Fox. And Alicia ends up tripping over the stairs. She starts holding her ankle, and it freaks Cedric out. And he like checks on her, and he's like, "Hey, are you okay?" And she's like, "No, I twisted my ankle." And then Gulak ends up tossing Cedric Alexander back into the ring, just keeps beating him down, and Cedric can't do anything. While he's getting beat down by Drew Gulak, we have Noam Dar come out and comfort Alicia Fox, asks her if she's okay, ends up picking her up, and Gulak ends up losing the momentum. Cedric ends up making a comeback, and as he's like trying to put away Drew Gulak, he sees Noam Dar pick up Alicia Fox and walk to the back, and this like lights a fire in him. I thought for sure Drew Gulak was gonna win this, just based on the complete distraction, but it like lit a fire under Cedric, where he just was not letting Gulak get anything he wanted off. Ends up turning around, hits the lumbar check, beats Drew Gulak, and immediately just bolts to the back to make sure that nothing is happening between Noam Dar and Alicia Fox. And then we get a post-match interview with Drew Gulak, who loses his mind because Alicia Fox was at ringside, and says, "What was she doing out there? This is a man's world. People can get hurt. It's scary here. Women don't deserve to be on 205 Live." And I went, "What? What? Are they really gonna go with this to like really make Drew Gulak a heel? Like he's gonna say, especially of any year, 2016 has been a year of women in wrestling. This has been a breakout year for most women in wrestling, and they're gonna have Drew Gulak say that on, well, not TV but on the network. I am very interested if they're ever going to have him say that on Raw. Maybe because he specifically said they don't belong on 205 Live, that it's going to stay there specifically. But holy shit, that's quite the statement you made there, Drew Gulak. I hope that doesn't bite you in the ass. But we'll see. And then we get Cedric showing up in the trainer's room. Alicia's got some ice on her ankle, and Noam Dar's standing there, and Cedric's checking on her like, "Hey, are you okay? I'm so sorry that happened. I didn't mean for that to happen." She's like, "It's fine. I just twisted my ankle. I'm just lucky that Noam Dar was there." And Noam Dar's standing there, and Cedric's like, "Hey, I appreciate you checking on her. I appreciate you getting her back here, but I've got this now." And Noam Dar's like, "Alicia, if you ever need me, I'll always be there to help you." And like gives like this evil little creeper grin at Cedric Alexander. So they're doing a great job at continuing this, what was kind of random at first with Alicia Fox and Cedric Alexander getting together. They're actually making this a really well done storyline. And it's been interesting to see the evolution of Noam Dar's creeper side. But yeah, we're getting it. But then we have our main event, which is Brian Kendrick, the Brian Kendrick, teaming with the now just evil and angry Neville, who wants to obliterate the 205 roster and the entire Cruiserweight division, taking on Rich Swann, the Cruiserweight Champion, and the former Cruiserweight Champion TJ Perkins. And Neville fucking runs roughshod through this match. He completely destroys Rich Swann for a good 6 or 7 minutes before TJ Perkins and Brian Kendrick get tagged in. And then, because Rich Swann is pretty much taken out, it's a handicap match against TJ Perkins. TJ Perkins ends up getting gets the double team. Neville gets back in. Rich decides he wants to tag himself back in, even though he's just been demolished. Gets back in and just gets ruined again. And it is an uphill battle for the entirety of this match for Rich Swann and TJ Perkins. They cannot get ahead of the game in this. And when they finally get just a little bit of light, it's immediately extinguished by these just aggressive heels, which is fantastic to watch. And they're starting to pick up a little bit of speed. They're using their high flying ability just to get a little bit of an advantage. Try and get ahead of Kendrick and Neville, and it's not working. Perkins at one point there's been close calls with the captain's hook. There's been close calls with TJ Perkins' knee bar. It's been there's been super kicks, like straight super kick to Neville's face that a lot of people thought was going to keep him down. He ends up kicking out of that. Perkins ends up going up and goes for a springboard and ends up getting a step-up enziguri from Neville that just completely knocks him out. Rich Swann, who's been just destroyed through this match, is on the outside. Brian Kendrick ends up diving onto him, taking him out, leaving Neville to hit the red arrow and pin TJ Perkins. Neville is on his way to doing exactly what he wants to do, and that is obliterate the Cruiserweight division. And I love the heel Neville. I think it is fantastic. I do hope, I talked about this on Raw, I will say Neville was enough of a difference in this match for me to enjoy it, but I don't want this to be, I'm waiting for Neville to even attack Brian Kendrick and just show that he's not worth his time. But I don't need TJ Perkins in this. I don't need Brian Kendrick in this. I think this needs to be, if this is what Neville is doing, if Neville is going for the Cruiserweight division, it needs to just be Neville and Rich Swann and maybe someone new. We need to distance these other three guys away from each other. It's time to do different things. If Neville wants to just continue destroying cruiserweights, which I think is what he should have done. I don't think he should have gone straight for the Cruiserweight Champion. I mean, it made sense just because they had the match on Sunday at Roadblock, but I feel like had he done that and then showed up on Raw and beat up, beat up Cedric Alexander, or showed up on 205 Live and beat up Jack Gallagher, or if he just came out and destroyed different cruiserweights and just kind of proved that that's what he was out to do, I think it would have added just a little bit more of a flair. I'm not knocking it. I think I'm super excited. It was my favorite thing from Roadblock, so I have no bones with it. I think it might have added a little bit more to it, so we'll see where this ends up going. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for Tuesday Night Live. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, click all the links down in the description. Check out all of our social medias for updates to when these videos go up. You can also get that if you subscribe to the channel. If you don't have a chance to watch videos, if you're watching this, you're like, man, I wish I could watch all of them, but I don't have time. Maybe you have work in the morning. Well, when the videos go up, specifically, Indie News, Raw Review, Tuesday Night Live, and the Midweek Wrap-Up, you can check out SoundCloud for podcast versions of all 4 of those videos. Now, they'll only be up for a week, so you have to listen to them while they're on there, but once the podcast is gone, you still have the video to come back and watch. Plus, you'll want to be over here anyway, because you get specific videos like prediction videos, you get pay-per-view review videos, you get top 5s. We're going to be doing an extra video coming up this week because there won't be an Indie News. So you'll only get that video form. So you'll want to check stuff out like that. You'll also want to go over to our second channel. That's Reasonable Wrestling Fans. That's Reasonable with a W, like wrestling. Yeah, we spell it weird, and that's fine. But you have all of our YouTube stuff over there. You can go back to just last week we put up a Christmas unboxing from WrestleCrate because we got presents. Didn't expect that. Thank you again, WrestleCrate. We appreciate it so much. But you can check out our pay-per-view wager punishment videos where I'll be getting chopped pretty soon. Both me and Kevin Hawk will be eating a bug, some sort of bug. He's setting that up. I don't know, but it's going to happen. You can also check out some other videos that are going to go up. We want to know what types of videos do you want to see. You can check out the few other videos we put up. If you want to see more of those videos, we'll definitely put those up. Just let us know down in the comments of this video or videos over on that channel. Let us know what you want to see. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you at whatever video you decide to watch next. And fuck Mojo Rawley. He was the only bad part of this entire night.